my good friends. I'm just going to talk today about my interaction with the Backstreet Boys last week. Nothing disturbing right now. I'm just going to talk. By the way, do you guys like my new background? It's faux wood. So anyways, about the Backstreet Boys, lots going on with them right now. They just celebrated their 20th anniversary of being a group, basically. They held this big fan celebration at the Fonda Theater in Hollywood last week, and I went to interview them for Clever Music. Of course, you guys know that. And it was quite an experience. So I just kind of want to share that with you guys, especially those BSB fans out there. So when you go do an interview, you never really know what to expect. That's the truth. You can come with questions, but you never really know what you're going to get. So they told me that right before the fan celebration was going to begin, where they previewed new songs for fans and they were filming their documentary, they told me that I was going to interview Brian, AJ, and Kevin. Wrong! I ended up interviewing Nick Carter and Howie D, the exact opposite, which was fine. So, upon meeting them, Howie D immediately warmed my heart. He was so genuine and charismatic and nice and easy to be around. He's very smiley, and at first Nick Carter kind of threw me off. He was a little cold at first, but I think he was just tired from doing a lot of interviews. He had just been talking for a long time, so I think his throat was actually dry and he just wanted water, but he wouldn't say anything. So we started the interview and Nick wouldn't look at me during the interview and was kind of giving me weird vibes, and Howie couldn't be nicer. But as the interview went on, I could tell that he was warming up to me. Obviously, when you interview someone, they don't know you. They don't know what you're gonna ask them. So they're kind of their guard is up and they don't know how you're gonna spin a story. They don't know how much they can tell you and if you'll run with it or if you'll be respectful to the news they're sharing with you. So anyways, it went fine and I loved interviewing them. Some highlights from the interview is I've always wanted to know how the Backstreet Boys and boy bands in general, how they pick what singer sings what part of a song. You know, Brian will sing the first line, Kevin will sing the next two lines. How did they decide that? So they told me that they can put their input in, but in the end, the producers, whoever's producing the song, and they work with a lot of different producers, that person actually decides who sings what part. They're like the mediator, what they say goes. And then as far as picking songs, the Backstreet Boys don't usually write their songs. They have people help write them, or they'll co-write. So they'll record a song, and it doesn't mean it's going to go on their album because they have a new album coming out. So they talked about making this one, which they did in London recently, that they would finish a song and then it would get emailed to all of them and they'd all be at home and then they would start emailing about the song, their input, and then there'd be 50 emails, and this really bothered Nick Carter, I could tell. And then they would vote on if they should keep the song or not. And if 3 out of 5 like the song, then they usually keep it. If not, then they don't, or people will try to convince the other ones to like it and then they'll re-vote. And they said it's quite a democracy and quite a process, so you'll have to check out the full interview on Clever Music. I'll link to it here. I'll link to it here so you guys can watch it. And then as the guys were setting up for the fan celebration at the Fonda Theater, I got to just see all of them interact, and they seemed genuinely happy to be there, genuinely happy to be back together. Kevin Richardson was nice, and the funniest part was Brian and AJ were dancing around on stage any free second they could get because the press were stealing interviews from them, but they were being goofy and having a good time as much as they possibly could, and they just looked like young guys again, although some of them are fathers and they've grown up and gotten married. But it was nice to see they had that energy. And you could definitely tell, they're not doing this for anyone really except the fans and themselves a little bit. You can tell mostly it's for the fans, and they don't really care so much what the mainstream or the media thinks about it, although they care a little bit. They said that their sound has changed a little bit, but they're gonna keep some pop stuff in there so people don't go crazy on the radio when they hear these songs. But I kind of like that they're doing it for the fans, and they seemed goofy, and I like anything that's weird. But anyway, it was so cool and awesome to meet them. Don't forget to check out my interview. Tell me how I did. Do you like the interviews I do? Sometimes, I get to decide what I ask, so that's really awesome. So give me some feedback. And then subscribe to my channel for more updates on my weird life and music stuff.